Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe.
And 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe. And worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show, and it is a beautiful day. Thank you, God, for this day. And I got to tell you, we have got a show for you today. I have been so excited when I found out that we were going to have the Mama Bears here. And you're going, the Mama Bears here? What do you mean, Cindy? Of course, you've read the write-up I've given them. These, I started to say girls, is that okay? These women are going to be running for the school board of CISD. Now, you know, that's a hot topic. Hot topic, it's on all the news channels and all that, mostly Fox, but it's on the news channels, and it's on everybody's mind. Like, who's going to be on the school board? We got to know who's going to be on the school board. You need to be looking, studying, and make sure you know who it is that you're voting for. But I gotta find this out after I introduce everybody. To my direct across from me is Tiffany Nelson, and you are running for position 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having
and
us.
Thank you for being so brave to run for position 1.
Oh, I thought you meant brave to be here with you.
Okay. Uh-oh, somebody's been talking. And then we have Melissa. I know that green. Melissa Dungan or Duncan?
It's Dungan.
Duncan. And she's running for position 2. And then Misty is running
Odenweller. Just like it looks. Odenweller. But now you know why I go by Misty, because it freaks everyone out.
Misty O is running for
She's like
position
Prince,
3.
Madonna.
Yeah, that's right.
Misty.
They can get away with going by one name. I really shouldn't.
No, I love that. But anyway, and there's a lot of Odenwellers on. When I started looking for your name, I said, surely she'll be 2 or 3, and I'll start looking. And all these Odenwellers came up. So did you know there's so many of them?
In Houston?
It's in the Montgomery County. They know where I live, so they're trying
They're
to
my
get me.
children, my brother-in-law, my husband. We're all here.
Everybody's got Facebook. That's it. Well, anyway, thank you guys for much for coming here.
Thank you.
We're going to learn a lot about the school board that we thought we knew. But, I think because of so much attention on the news and all that, that people are really in tune to this, and they also have a better understanding, and they go like, okay, we got to find out. So it's bigger than the PTO. It's not a PTO, right? Or PTA when I was growing up. And so it's bigger than that. You don't have to have an invitation to come be sitting in the audience, do you?
No, you do not.
No, this is for the public whenever you guys meet.
That's right.
And you bury it on page 59. So nobody, no, I mean, that's what you feel sometimes, like,
Yeah.
what? I didn't know anything. I didn't know they were meeting. When did they meet, and when can I get there, and how do I get there? It's got to be, you ought to tell everybody, let's make sure everybody knows we're going to meet, because you will have a full house. I am sure of that, and I'll sit on the front row, and
Yes.
it'll be so much fun to really get questions answered and not let up until somebody answers the questions. But of course, you guys haven't been like Misty was saying, like instructed enough yet to even like be able to answer some questions that the public has, because then they haven't given you all the information you need. How long does that take? When will you be able to get the information? Will they give it to you?
We're working on it. I will tell you that we are, they will certify the votes on November 18th or somewhere around there, 12th, something like 12th. Okay, so November 12th because we have the holiday week. And then the following month, they will swear the three of us in. I'm being very positive there.
I love that. Yeah.
And they will swear us in. And then at some point, we will need to go through some training. Now, right now, our only options are TASB. And until last week.
Yes.
And now there is another alternative for our training as school and certification as school board members. So we're excited about that opportunity because we haven't had any other options other than the Texas State Board, Texas Association of School Boards in the past. And we had already agreed we weren't going to go under their rules. So
Yeah, it's nice to have the option, and not to
Yes.
mention that the amount it costs taxpayers is like a fraction of what TASB was charging.
Yeah,
so
it's less than $100 versus
$1,800, I believe.
$1,800
something like that.
per
Yeah.
candidate.
Well, I think that it's going to be extremely interesting to have three of you. Now, were you friends before this? You know each other before this?
Not at all.
not at all.
So you just said, I need to go find out who's running for POS too. Is that how y'all figured out, or did
I mean,
you
I
just
think
come
just
together?
the mama bears just kind of connected us all together, and then we just all powered up and said, "Let's do this."
I find at least my story I thought was unique, but then after talking with Misty before Tiffany was on board, I found our stories to be very similar, and we're God appointed almost.
How we ended up here.
It's yeah, it's really incredible.
Now, does someone appointed? Someone has to
Oh
appoint
no,
you?
no.
Oh, okay.
By that I mean that years ago she felt a calling on her heart for this, and 2 years ago roughly, I felt the similar calling, different circumstances, but very similar callings, and so here we are years later.
That is now. Tell me this: how much are you willing to stand up to someone who's really in your? Well, they don't get in your face because they're pretty far away. But how much is them yelling at you or saying things that you know how to handle, not calm somebody down? Are you going to learn that?
We're not allowed to respond. So maybe that's something that the public should know.
Oh,
Are you checking in public comment?
In public
Yeah.
comments. I figured that out. That's why I looked at you to say that, because we're not allowed to respond when well, first of all, anyone can attend a school board meeting. It's generally, as a rule, the third Tuesday of the month. However, due to holidays or special meetings, there'll be some other dates. That being said, anyone can attend, but only those that sign up either by calling, email, or via the website can speak to the board members, can address.
can address them, but you guys can't answer.
But we are not allowed to respond to them. Now, if
board
it's
members.
as board members. Now, once, if it is an item that, correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys know this, if it is an item that is on the agenda for discussion, not the consent agenda, but the agenda, I think, maybe a little murky there, but then I think they have the ability to respond, as they did last night when someone responded
I
to
noticed that.
Mr.
Someone's
McCann's comment. I think Skeeter Hubert responded to one of Mr. McCann's comments
And
because
Mr.
it was
Sanders, yes.
and Mr. Sanders, and because it was on the actual
It was an agenda
item.
Yep.
So
So okay.
They
so,
referred back to it.
okay. So someone stands up, and they know all this before. They know who they're
Well,
going
there
to.
is an item agenda specifically for public comment. So you sign up beforehand to speak during that agenda item.
And they don't tell you what they want to comment on. Do you know if they do?
You can comment on most anything related
no,
to.
meaning the individual constituent can speak generally on almost anything. They try to let it be regarding things on the agenda, but they are pretty generous when it comes to what they let you speak about. However, when it comes to a board member responding, they can never respond while public comments are being given. And that is tough. It is tough to have people standing there
Very upset and passionate.
or even appreciative
Yeah.
standing there talking with you, and yet you can't respond to them.
verbally, yes.
And
Now,
say,
when
oh,
they-
stop it. Okay.
So when you can respond is if it's an item that's on the agenda and the board is going to take it up for discussion, then later in the meeting or whatever point in the meeting when they are discussing it, they are allowed to refer back to the comment if it had to do with, like, say Tiffany was speaking and they are referring back to something Tiffany has mentioned
Right.
during their board discussion.
Right.
Now, is the press always there? Is they
Hardly
televise? Do they ever televise?
It is
It's available online.
It is available online via YouTube, but I have noticed lately it's very hard to watch
Technical
versus 2
difficulties.
years ago. Yeah, last night.
Oh, I thought it was hard to watch. 'cause
And-
it was so bad.
Well, no, it's technically it's hard to watch, and while it's live, whereas it used to be you could start at any point, pause, come back, which I did remotely years
Yeah, COVID
years
time.
watching this, and now it's very hard to watch on YouTube.
Interesting. I wonder.
Something we might can address.
Yes, I think something you can investigate.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
For sure.
Now, Tiffany, in your position, what distinguishes the positions 2, 3, and all that? Why are you position one?
Just, I closed my eyes and pulled a straw. No, I'm just kidding.
You got the long story.
These two ladies had already put their name in, and they were chosen as position 2 and 3. And the only other position available was position 1. At the time, Dale Inman was the incumbent, and he later decided to not run. So that left 6 people running in the spot.
Well, it
And
was
then we
5 at
had-
first, and then because one of them was running in my position,
Yes.
and at the 11th hour
Yes.
switched to go to her position.
Yes,
so.
and then when everything happened with the applications filled out incorrectly with the incumbent in Misty's position, it also took place in my position. So one person was knocked out. So now there are 5 of us running.
And now there are
in
5.
ours. I know. So there's 1 for Misty's, there's 2 for Melissa, and 5 for mine. I like a
Wow.
challenge, though.
Yeah,
Cindy.
you must. You must like that challenge. Well, let's get into some scenarios that I think are so interesting that you've all seen on TV. You've seen these things happen, and you see the police are there. Do they have? You have police there at the meetings. Okay.
Yes.
I can see why. But I think that when the dad got up and said his daughter was, accosted in the bathroom, raped in the bathroom.
in
was-
Loudoun County, that
yes,
incident.
in Loudoun
Uh-huh.
County, yes. And he was immediately escorted out, and the police had to grab him. It was a terrible scene. It was awful. And then when a parent gets up and says, I'm going to read you part of the book that I found in the library and see what you guys think about this. And they start reading. They said, we don't talk like that in the meetings. Well, wait a minute. It's not okay, appropriate for you to talk, but a 7-year-old
children,
is
right.
fine. And then the people say, they get really upset with that. You're going to allow this? Are you allowing it? Or are you going to tell me that you're going to fix this? So if a parent stood up and at one of the schools and said, okay, my school, they have these books. I'm not going to embarrass anybody, but these don't need to be in our library. Do you agree with that? And what would you say to them?
We will certainly
Yes.
be looking into those books immediately. We will remove them and review them to make sure that they are in fact appropriate. And if deemed not, we will not be replacing them back into or putting them back into the library. You bring up a very big topic for us.
Yeah.
What is really important to know is that we are not in favor of banning books. Our goal is not to ban books.
Right.
Our goal is not to remove books from shelves. Our goal is to protect children,
Right.
and the only material that follows the Texas Penal Code is
right.
actually available to our children. Period.
Yep.
And I'm not saying a book needs to be banned. I'm not saying books need to be removed. They just have no
comply.
place in our children's hands, in our public our school libraries, in our classrooms if they do not follow the Texas Penal Code of obscenity clause.
Yep.
And I think it's really interesting because if these books are in there and you find that they're in there and say we don't want to ban them, but can you put them in a place that has a black cover over it? or that you has to say, I'll have to call your parents and make sure that they say it's okay if you.
There's
Can
so
you
many
say that?
options. There are
I
options.
think that would scare a librarian or a child.
Well, we don't want to scare the librarians.
No.
We want to
it
work
wouldn't
with them.
scare
Yeah.
them. I would
Right.
say like, okay, that's an out for me. Let me call your parents. And if they say no, then you can't check out the book, right? Wouldn't that now? See, it's so scary because of all the way the parents feel like they're being removed from decision making for their children, especially the sexual identity part of it, and that if there's a book in there that it's very questionable, that they can't be called to say, I don't want my child checking that out, because he'll never bring it home. He's going to just look at it there at school. And so you ask me first, and then we're
Parental
good
consent.
to go.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a real simple way to spread the,
It
like your
absolutely
fault.
is. I do believe, though, an even better approach to this whole scenario is how, like the policy is something that the current board has gone back and reviewed and revised and adopted a revised version. But more than that, the action that's taken to identify, okay, how are these books getting in? At what point? And closing that gap. And
Very
making
good.
sure that the books that are already across that line are reviewed accordingly and either left on the shelf if deemed appropriate, and if deemed inappropriate, put on a list, not a banned list, but a list.
Yeah,
where
I mean,
parents could
if a
approve their
parent-
child.
Yeah, right. If a
access.
parent says, "Oh yeah, let them bring that home. That's fine because we want to read it too." That's different. I mean, then the accountability part of it has to, I think, lie with the parents and let them figure that out. And that's what you guys. I feel like you being a mama bear, and you saying mama bear, that tends to make me feel more comfortable about how these kids are going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And instead of it being a political, toy or anything like that, that it's going to be you looking out for the children.
Yep.
How do y'all feel like you're going to be able to do that? And what kind of power do you feel like you might have going into this?
Well, nobody should mess with the mama bear. I can preface it by that. But, we're all moms. My husband and I share 6 children. 5 of them go to Cochran ISD. So just having a vested interest.
Yes.
And then we have our eyes and ears. And then through our parents and friends that are also there, we have eyes and ears. And like you said, more so than someone else that just wanted to have a political agenda of some sort. Maybe they don't have children, but they just want to, have a path in politics or something. So definitely a vested interest. We're there to protect. We want to see our babies thrive, and not just ours, all of them. We want to represent all of the parents and all of the children in the district. So,
Well, are you guys, are y'all so frustrated because you go like, why are we just teaching math and reading?
the basics.
And the
yes.
basics of what people need instead of all this other social junk around us that should be, kids in the playground are getting an education. And there's a lot of ways kids get a lot of information, and especially now, it is scary how much they've already seen and they know and all that.
Yes.
But the parents have got to be the last word and stuff. And I know a lot of kids don't have the greatest of parents, and so the teachers kind of feel obligated to take care of that child and say it's going to be okay, and if you'll just do this. But when they say, let's don't tell the parents, I think you really are a boy, you're not a girl, and that's okay. I think when that statement comes out of that teacher's mouth, that child, she should be slapped around, because I think it's so important that these kids at this age that they're talking about wanting to have discussions with are so ridiculous. Richard is probably going, I'm going to sleep through this because I've heard this from Cindy about 50 times. We talk about this, but it's to me so important. And I've gone to come to Jesus meetings I've had with some administrators about it was just, they were just going to try this out and see if this worked. And this program works, so they're going to try it out. And the kids come home and tell everything. and they're crying and they're upset because they just embarrassed them so bad, the questions they were asking them. And but the teacher said, we just wanted all the kids to know that everybody has problems, and they, some people get thrown out of their houses and they didn't pay the rent, and so we want all these, everybody to know that. Well, that was enough. I said, okay. And I had the call when they said, but you're the grandmother. And I went, oh, man, it's worse. It's worse when you have the grandmother. And I said, I am going to speak for, I think, a lot of people. Have you had anybody come in and complain about this? No, ma'am. And I went, really? Okay. Well, mark this down as your first one. And if I find out that y'all ever do this program again, I'll bring down the press on you. I'll have Channel 13 sitting in here. And Marvin Ziller, bless his soul, he's not here. But there's going to be somebody like that that's going to come in and just go like, what are you thinking? You have just, these kids came home very depressed, very upset. And you just, if you were trying to bond and build a team, you just didn't do it.
Absolutely.
So I think it's going to be great to have women on there, that more women than even men, but that have children in this. And now you're talking about our most precious gifts, the kids.
So here's the deal: the constituents, the citizens of Conroe ISD, pretty much any school district, they send two pretty important pieces of their lives to the school. They send their children and their money. And the money is huge. They're spending a lot of money in the schools, and they have a right as the parents of these kids to have the utmost final say in their children. So here's the deal on that, in that they need to our board needs our parents, let's start there. Our parents need to take control again. Yes. They need to be in the driver's seat. They need to be engaged and involved. It's a difficult thing. I was talking with a friend of mine who's brilliant, a mama of 5, one special needs child, works as an anesthesiologist, and I won't say where. And she's like, I can't make it to anything. I can't make it to the school board meetings. I can't make it to, you were referring to the gender dysphoria stuff a few minutes ago. Transrec will be doing its very first screening. It's a movie about what is going on in society right now. 2 school districts are being featured in this
local
documentary. And guess what? One is Loudon ISD, Loudon School District, and the other is Conroe ISD.
Really?
And so it is streaming. It is screening at Grace Woodlands tomorrow night, Thursday night at
6:30.
6:30. And back to my friend, she can't make it because she's barely finishing getting some after school activities done and getting home and trying to get kids settled before she could try to get back out the door. But that's also partly because of time constraints. So back to the school board issues, it's hard for some parents to be involved, but you do not just make phone calls. I'm going to tell you right now, those aren't recorded. Don't make phone calls. Send emails. Document
and if
everything.
Your phone calls are made,
very good.
Follow up with an email
Yes,
about that phone call.
exactly.
About the phone call. And if you're missing the phone call.
And not everyone is able to attend a board meeting, but you can stream them, even though sometimes it's a challenge and you lose connection and things like that. You can stream them and be informed. Follow up with your board members and your superintendent with an email. Because if there's no paper trail, it didn't happen.
Even with the paper
is
trail,
wonderful.
it's hard to prove it happened, but it's there.
So the movie's going to be
tomorrow night.
Transrec.
Transrec. And I love Loudon is one of the...
Yes.
Loudon and Conroe ISD.
We are... Oh, that's excellent.
Yes.
Now, is this like documentary style?
It's
or
a
is
documentary, yep.
it- Okay. And they're going to talk about how you handle it?
There's a teacher,
3
or
teachers.
Conroe ISD teachers, and one of them particularly is going to talk about how she had a student that wanted to transition from a girl to a boy, and she was told to help her and not tell their parents.
And they're standing behind the Title IX
reasons, which have nothing to do
which
with
are
it.
very much unrelated to
No.
the child's rights when it comes to transitioning from a gender to another gender. And
That
so,
is just ludicrous. Oh my word. Oh,
Grace
gotta see
Woodlands Church tomorrow,
Grace Woodlands
6:30.
that. Okay, be there, be square. What time? 6:30?
6:30.
Yep.
Okay, that's going to be full. That's going to be
Yeah.
full. So I love that. I wish I'd known that yesterday when the girl was here from not from West Conroe Baptist Church to tell that would be good.
Yeah.
Because they've got a hold on so many women and what they're, what they're doing in their classes and stuff. And everybody needs to be talking about this and
Yes.
being like, don't even think about doing stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and how it relates to mental health. Isn't it like 50% of suicides are girls transitioning into boys? Isn't that a stat that
I
read?
know that the social emotional mindset of our teen girls right now has a 50% increase in
Yes.
suicide.
Yes.
Within a period of time of trying the transitioning of the teen girls and even boys, but predominantly the girls, it's an substantial increase of suicide
Yes.
because of what all the drugs and hormones and everything do
Chemicals
to them,
that
and how there's anyway, it's just really, really bad. It's
so many factors.
so many factors, and emotional, mental well-being is just not in a good state.
Well, it seems like if everybody sit back that's like over 40, let's say, and think about how long did you want to do a certain thing when you were a teenager,
Right.
and how quickly did that go away and you forgot about that and you're on to the next thing,
Right.
And that fads are fads, and they are, and that's what they got called that because they don't last very long. And with kids, it's even worse. So I know when having a granddaughter come in and talk about liking this boy or not liking this boy, and I said, or being crushed because a boy didn't like you, and I went, oh, if I could just take in
know.
about 2 weeks, you're going to be all over this, and they're like, no, I'll never get
It's
over
the end
it.
of the world
It's
now.
over,
But yeah.
And going back to the parent teacher, the communication there, and it's almost like these ideas and these thoughts are being endorsed at this day and age, and that never was the case years ago.
Never,
We
never
didn't
was the
endorse
case.
bad ideas, and
Yes.
these kids they're confused.
And I remember when, I don't want, go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, I just look at this, my parents, of course, I think the worst thing we thought of was maybe smoking behind the dugout or drinking
Or
Boone's
skipping
Farm.
school one
And
day or something.
had a teacher handed me that pack of cigarettes, or had a teacher handed me a bottle of Boone's Farm and said, "Here you go. This is okay." Wow,
How that
So
would change
I think that's a really good analogy,
Yeah.
just to show like this is happening, but with books about changing your gender and gay love.
Yeah, and what all that you can do with this is like, and everything backs it up. Hollywood backs up so much stuff. TV's backing up so much stuff that's going on, and so it's creating a norm. Like they think this is all normal because we see
Well, the
so
adults
much of
say
it
it's
all
okay.
the time. Yeah, it's like, and the adults don't want to say anything against that because you'll
They might not be
consider them
right.
as racist or something.
Well, here's the deal. Our even in Conroe ISD, I will say, no, not even in Conroe ISD, there is an assault on the parent-child relationship, and every single day there are items happening on campuses across our district. We are the 9th largest school district in the state with more than 70,000. I think last night they said we're at 70,700 students now in our district. And the thing is every day there are things happening where children are being conditioned and it's made to think that the school is a safer place for them than at home with their parents. And it is the rarity where it's not. And so we have got to stop, especially teens. It is hard enough for parents to raise teenagers these days, ever, let alone these days. We shouldn't have conflicts going on between parents and the school district over curriculum, content, etc.
Because it weakens both. It weakens both
Yes.
sides. And as much as it's like our country, you can weaken yourself, but you weaken everything about that, and then your constituents, the people are going like, wait a minute, and you start feeling afraid, like I'm all alone here. There's nobody else that thinks
And
like I do.
there's also an attack, I think, at an even earlier age, before they become teenagers.
Right.
At the the elementary level, there's an
Absolutely.
attack on the. That is where the parent-teacher bond is first
Agreed.
born. And
Right.
the child sees that. And the fact that is the level where they're attacking that parent-teacher bond. You
Right.
don't see that anymore. And that's where it's born. And that marriage, like Misty calls it, isn't being created. And so
The nurturing
these
is
kids are going into
missing.
junior or into middle school, and that they don't have that support.
Well, it drove me crazy because I was out. My 2 grandchildren and their mom lived with us, and so I just thought, oh boy, I got a second chance at raising kids. And so I said, I'll take them to school. I'll do all this, for them. I know that school is so funny. Here I come, and they go like, Miss Cochran's coming in, everybody, watch out. And I said, no, I just got to tell you guys, you're having all these kids stand out here in this big groups out here, and it was after a school shooting or something. They're still standing out here waiting for these cars. Can you not keep them in the building until? And you're calling them out, and they did that. Eventually, they put them back more in the school, and then just called the name out, and they got up. They were all sitting in the rows, but that was to try and be safe. Let's just be safe. And I was so worried about that.
But what a logical thought.
Yes.
right.
Let them stay in there. That's where they've been all day. Like, a few more minutes, not going to hurt them. But they were all sitting, and so you're just sitting ducks out there. So anyway, I went to the school. They were having a meeting, and I wanted to go to this. And I walked in, and everything's closed. There's nobody there at the front, and the doors were locked. And I went, good grief. And so I went through, and the way the gates are, and it opens enough so you can get through.
Oh, you snuck through,
back,
basically.
Yeah. So I went around there, and I went to that side door, and I opened the door, and I walked in, and nobody was in their room. I could hear talking, and now I close to the library, and there was everybody in the library, and I stood there, and somebody turned around and looked at me, got their eyes like that big, and they came up to me and said, "How did you get in here?" And I said, "Well, I had to go through this." And then I said, "What do y'all mean by it?" She said, "We're meeting about what we have to do with the lockdown." you just ruined it because we didn't
Great
think
way to
about,
start the meeting.
Yeah, we didn't think about
Point of
somebody
order.
coming through the gate, and they could get through that. Anyway, it was really funny, and you used to be able to. This was not that many years ago. You used to be able to go to school and say, "I want to have lunch with my my granddaughter." I said, "Sure, go ahead, and go back there and go back there and have lunch with them." And I was there every day having lunch with them. And then they moved to middle school. They said, "You can bring something up here, and we'll get it to them, but you can't go and have lunch with them." I went, "Oh, okay." So I go and get something. And they said, "Now, if you're going to get it from Popeyes or anything like that, you're going to have to put it in a paper bag because it makes the other kids feel bad that they don't have that." And I went, "Okay, well, I understand that. I understand. That's no problem. That's probably better for me." So I did that. And then it just seemed like further and further away that they kept the kids from you. And then they wouldn't do that at all. They
And
said,
then fast forward
"We're
to
not doing that at
COVID,
all."
and that just gave them
Even
all the room.
more
Yep.
power, and you can't even come in there without being patted down and let's take your blood type and all that. And I thought, this is what is killing us. That we're not able to talk to the teachers, and you don't want parents roaming the halls and doing all that. I'm sure you have to have an escort. That's fine and all that, but they've taken away the paper homework, so you have no idea what they're doing. It's all online, and I understand that too. And
Well,
there's
that's another topic in itself.
because I have no idea what they're doing, and they can say, "I'm fine. I'm doing fine. Grandma, don't worry about things. Everything's fine. I'm making good grades." And then we find out they're like, "What? You're back in 10th grade." But I think that it's sad that happened because that was the touch we had with the teachers. We could talk to the
Yes.
teachers and all that. And then they just like building all of those lockers. And then they realize, well, we can't let them have lockers because drugs and things like that. So they're going to have to carry their whole school
All their
thing,
bags.
their computer and
Yep.
everything. And my first question would be the school board, is there some way I could get compensated for the chiropractor?
Chiropractor
And I'm going to just, I don't know.
My kids are athletes. My daughter walks around with 2 bags the whole school day. She's got her school book
Don't-
bag and then her volleyball bag, and just all day long just
And-
carries it around. And then she's like, "Here, carry this." I'm like, "Okay."
I couldn't even pick it up. She said, Grandma, can you get that? And there was no way. I said, what are you doing with this on your back? And she
Yeah.
said, that's why I come home and my back hurts. I think that's what
I bought one of those wheeling ones, and my daughter said, "No,
Oh, that is so embarrassing.
absolutely not."
That is so true.
So it's been sitting in the garage for about 3 years now, collecting dust.
Yes,
I'm thinking
ready.
of a way out. Can you use it for anything that you use? How else can I use it? Besides the
Groceries and-
airport.
yeah.
Donate it.
Yeah, donate it.
But even
Sure,
the
I can find
schools,
it.
most of them aren't. They found the ones with the wheels were actually causing back issues too. So who knows?
Well, and
I tried.
you did.
tried.
You were that
Now
conscientious
this is
mama.
new to me, so that's definitely a new topic. I've not dealt with.
wheeling
My
backpacks?
children are so young.
Oh
yeah.
yes, don't
Oh,
do
my,
it.
don't
Take
do
this as
it.
a note from Mama
Okay.
Tiffany.
Yeah,
Don't
we're gonna have
do
to
it.
fix that one.
are the clear backpacks,
The
at
clear, yes.
I remember them talking about they were going to go to that or something. And
A lot of
so,
other school districts have adapted that, but we have not. But one of the interesting parts of it is that, the biggest concerns are vaping in the schools, and you just put that in a little pencil case and you can't see it in a clear backpack. So it's,
Or it comes in looking like a highlighter. My husband was a former CISD administrator in one of the high schools here, and he spent the majority of his day dealing with kids vaping.
it's a big problem.
really?
It's a huge issue, and it doesn't get much attention. But it is a huge problem in the schools. It takes a lot of attention away from other things that our administrators should be
From a
focused
lot of
on.
other discipline issues. We have
Yeah.
a real discipline issue
Yes.
in Conroe ISD. I'm not sure if you've seen any of the fights that are going, which goes to the safety. So to me, education, safety are huge issues that we need to be focused on in Conroe ISD.
Right.
And we have fights breaking out
Yes.
on the only campuses I've not heard about fights on are some of the I haven't heard of fights like we've been
Yeah.
seeing in the middle school
In the
or
high
junior high and high school.
Certainly the high
The fights are outrageous.
Gang activity
Outrageous.
in the high schools.
And it's unsafe for our teachers.
Correct.
It's
Sure,
unsafe for other students, but the other students can pretty much step away and get away when there's a
record.
physical
And we
fight
just
and,
record it.
and record it. But our teachers are left standing there, either
Being
trying to break it
assaulted.
up, being assaulted, and it's just not fair to them.
You got to get them hose out there and open up the water and get them apart. You got to get them separated like
Yes,
you do
with-
dogs.
with the
Spray
fire
it down
hose.
with the hydrant
the
down.
Yes.
fire hose.
Look it up. Yes.
So, anyways, but yes, that is a huge problem,
Y'all are
and
so
it is.
bad.
And back to the whole issue, also is our concerns with indoctrination over education are not directed completely at the teachers, because there are a lot of excellent teachers out there that are
sure.
Many.
being put in that position. They're being put in the position by curriculum. They're being put in the position by administration.
Yes.
There's, in some cases, I can tell you, and back to the board having power and so forth, the board is supposed to be at the top. Administration answers to what the board directs. And the way TASB works, Texas Association of School Boards, they direct our school board members across Texas to basically be a yes man to our administration. Support 100% our whatever the direction of our administrative superintendent, et cetera, is guiding us. That is a problem.
Or a team of 8.
Yeah, it's called Team of 8, and in the bad way, it's also called Gang of 8. But
Complete reversal of the way things should be run.
that's right, and so it's necessary right now for our board to stand with being informed, not just being fully informed, not just being told information or reading reviews or highlights and then going out and voting in unison.
Yes.
We believe strongly, the three of us believe, that we need to have those votes reflect what we believe. We never see anything in a board meeting be, unless it's on the agenda. Consent agenda items get no public discussion.
And these are big items.
And so we have no idea really where they stand. It's almost, in the years that I've been either streaming board meetings or attending in person, which I have been doing every month for a while now, for a year now, every meeting they call for a vote. And every meeting, with the exception of 3 that I can think of right at this very moment that I could quote, Scott Moore voted against the turf because voters voted 3 times down or 2 times down on the turf. And Scott Moore was the only one that dissented on that vote. Dale Inman voted no against the way of funding the, he voted for the budget back in August, but against the mode or of how it would be funded. And then last night, the only time I have ever seen, 3 times that I have seen,
Unscripted conversation occur behind that desk.
but they were on they weren't on the consent agenda, so there was discussion on it. But those were 3 times that I have. Otherwise, they all vote in agreement, all in agreement,
eight,
all
or
in
7.
agreement.
Oh, that's boring. What about the turf? What are you talking about, turf?
Back,
Does that stand for something? or-
no, turf.
football fields, athletic
on the
fields.
athletic
Oh,
fields.
yeah.
So there were several high schools in the district that had turf, AstroTurf. But they were trying to bring the other schools, Oak Ridge being the one, I think, that they were trying to bring up to the same, quote, standards. But the voters weren't in agreement with it.
didn't have any
Not just because of the financial part of it, but there were people that weren't in agreement with it because of health reasons. There were stats and things being shared that it was
The chemicals.
the
or-
chemicals, the
heat.
heat, the injuries. And so anyway, the whole point behind it was that they the first time it got voted down, the second time they said split it out, give us a new budget, a new bond, and they went through and did it, and they voted for certain things and then downed the part that had the turf in it. And yet the school district diverted funds to still get the turf in.
Against the voters' will.
As an East Side CISD member or resident, Oak Ridge used to be considered, lesser. They didn't have. They were neglected, and I don't say that meaning that's a quote neglected. They weren't, but there was lesser there because booster clubs and things were sponsoring so much more on the west side of the 45 corridor of our district. That being said, I understood that the district was trying to bring things up to a standard, but they need to listen to their voters.
Amen. So when do y'all talk about the would you decide and put on the agenda the information of getting the students to understand how important it is not to eat the different colored pills that they may be offered at parties and out on the playground and that they're not candy, that fentanyl has got to be shut down. People got to be so informed. And I thought I talked on the way to school to my kids about this. And so my husband said, y'all know about fentanyl, right? And they go, no. The colored pills that, can kill you, no. And he looked at me and I went, I have told them and told them. They just are asleep, I guess, on the way to school. But I have told them about that. And it's not talked about in school. And I said, y'all don't talk about this in school? Or no. Yeah. I mean, I haven't talked about it in school. And how beholding are you, the school board, going to be to unions, the teachers union. Is the teachers union, is it the teachers union, the school board and the administration, or is it?
Well, Texas doesn't really have teachers unions, so to speak. They have teacher groups and organizations.
Well, we have, okay, but I think that whatever they go for, they tell the teachers they must, they have to vote this way and that. Now that was you're right, that's taken away. But I mean, are they beholding to anyone? That's perfect. I love that. That's wonderful. So teachers can speak out. Teachers can say what they want to say.
Well, within reason.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just hearing of specific incidences where, yes, they are speaking out and they're, giving their political views in classrooms, and they're promoting specific ideologies. Thank you. And in fact, I asked one of the students, I said, how do you feel about your new teacher? And she said, oh, I like her. She's nice. But I know I have to write differently in her class. It was the language arts class. I said, what do you mean you have to write differently? She said, well, she has a lot of, she didn't use the word ideologies, but she had a lot of opinionated things up on the wall, I guess we could say. Viewpoints, yep. Right. And so she said, I know that I need to write differently in her class to talk more about her specific viewpoints that she shows up on our wall in order to get an A. And so it's things like that. That's just like, okay, we need to step in. We need to make sure that that you're there to just teach English, language arts, math, science, history. You're not there to teach our children about your beliefs.
You've got enough to teach them and not enough hours in the day to spend on all that other junk that they,
and it goes both ways.
Yes, right. And I think the kids are so smart. And so they'll sit back and they'll watch a teacher and see what that teacher's, like, okay, I'll go along to get along, but I know that you won't still be this, dogmatic about it in about a week or two, and you're going to get tired of us not listening to you and all that, and you're not going to talk about it anymore, so it'll be fine. That's what my kids have told me. Don't worry about it. They're not going to be talking about it for very long.
But
I went, that doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I was going to say, back to your question about unions, and Melissa stating that we don't really have a Texas teachers union that they must join in all of this. But there is an organization in Texas that is basically run by the National Education Association, NEA. But just like with school board trainings now, we just got a conservative school board training program approved last week by the TEA. We also have a conservative teachers organization, and really it isn't intended to be political, this organization. It's really just intended to be a support system for our teachers and not balance. To not be ideologically aligned. And it's called Innovative Teachers of Texas. And for teachers that are wanting an organization that will support them and stand behind them and be an alternative to other options, the other option out there, they really should look into ITT, Innovative Teachers of Texas, because they are standing strong with parents and with teachers, and their goal is to bring everyone back together and to support each other.
And bring the teachers back that have left. And 77% of teachers are thinking about leaving.
Well, you can work for 25 years and get an $8,000 raise.
In your career, that's it.
25 years.
Who wants to work for 25 years to achieve $8,000 in growth?
They're well to start, but their increlateral raises are not very impressive.
The incentives aren't there.
Well, I have my daughter's sons and daughter-in-law and father-in-law, all teachers and principals and things like that. And my daughter had said, she said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do because I was told I better. If a kid comes up and says, I want to be called this, I want you to call me this name, not John or whatever, call me this, I have to call him that. Yeah. And I can't remember the new names they gave me, I can't do that. I've got too much other stuff to do. She says, so I'm just calling them all by their last name, and that's it. And I went,
but we're putting so much pressure on our children. That's so much pressure on these little minds.
Yes,
they don't understand.
Think about that. They don't. And when they get older, they're going to look back and go, what were y'all
We've got to teach critical thinking and to identify truth.
Yes. We are about out of time, and I have to remind everybody that they were here for y'all are the guests, and I'm sitting there going, oh boy, am I so glad. And I know they're thinking, boy, Cindy finally got a show she can like vent on.
Give her a microphone.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm so proud of y'all. I'm so proud that
thank
y'all
you.
are going to be there, and
Thank
that your concern is for the kids. This is not Republican,
Well,
Democrat.
we're not.
It is
we're
not.
going to
This
be
is-
there yet. Misty is going to be there, but if
Yeah,
if,
we
we
need
your
support,
votes.
your
We need-
votes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Financial support.
Finance.
Yes,
Support helps,
visit our
absolutely.
websites. Mine is Melissa Dungan for Conroe ISD. I didn't get the memo about shortening.
And mine
my-
is Tiffany for CISD.com. Yours is not Melissa for Conroe ISD, is it?
It's Melissa Dungan for Conroe ISD.
Oh.
And I'm Misty for CISD.
And
dot
you're
com.
Misty, who's got it. You've got your position.
I am unopposed at this time through a series of events.
Yes.
Someone changing positions and someone making a mistake on their application, and I am. But here's
Thank
the
you,
deal:
God.
no one has ever handed me anything in my life, and I do not want the voters to just not vote for me because I'm in. I need those votes to show
The support.
that I have power behind me. I don't want people to state, well, you're just speaking for your own initiative. No, I have the power of the people behind me. So please, just because I am unopposed, I need those votes.
And you need the parents. Yeah, that's what I love is y'all do need the parents. You do understand the importance of the parents being involved, and that's everything. And so I just appreciate all of you. I'd let my kids go to school with y'all, all of you, because you're so
thanks.
sweet. But thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming.
and don't forget to check out TransRec.
Transrec tomorrow
at
night.
Grace Church.
Grace
in the Woodlands
Woodlands.
at 6:30.
6:30.
And everybody is invited, so y'all can come on
And
my.
we'll be there.
There's an RSVP.
You can text Steve Toth. If you look for Representative Steve Toth online, you can text him from there and they will get you on the list. But you
Or
can still come.
Yeah,
Still
or you can
come.
find us on our social media outlets, and we all have links
But
to it
even
on
if
there
you
as
miss
well.
that, still come.
Yeah.
Show up.
And y'all
Yeah,
can
it's important
definitely
stuff.
come on my, do whatever you want to do on my Facebook or whatever. You can say whatever you need to say, because I open that up to everybody. Like if y'all have at it, because who's ever listening, because I've got a lot of opinionated people on my Facebook, and we never clash. We're always in great.
Perfect.
Yeah, a great agreement. But I wanted to thank you all and just God bless y'all and your family and your kids and everything like that. So it's gonna be
Thank
wonderful.
you.
God bless
Thank you
you
so
as
much.
well.
Yeah, prayers
this
are
is-
appreciated as well.
Yes.
I'm just so excited for y'all, and I thank you, and be sure and tell everybody that they can listen to this program and listen to how you think about things, what you feel on YouTube live. We've been live. We're live right now, and we're ready to say goodbye. And I just want to thank everybody. And I will be gone tomorrow, and we'll have a recorded show. Will be tomorrow, and probably this show because this is the latest show. So maybe I can go home and watch yourself on TV. Anyway, thank you, listeners and viewers, and thank you, first responders. We love you so much, and God loves you even more. Thank you. In school board people. Yay. All right, see ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.